What's up, y'all? Sparta here. For this video, I finally want to do my review of the LG Tone TF8 or the Tone Free Fit. I'm just gonna call them the Tone Fits. And I've had these for at least 3 months now. And I like them a lot. I really do. There are a couple things that I have that are a bit weird with them that have nothing to do with the headphones themselves, just have something to do with a singular mistake that I made. And I'll get into that in a second. But overall, I will talk about how these rank in my headphone the line of headphones that I have and have used in the past, and how I overall feel, and what are they mainly made for, which is obviously the fit part of it, which is fitness, but they can honestly be used for more than that, and I think that I will go into that a little bit more here. So I'll go into the specs. You roughly get like 8 hours of battery life from a single charge, utilizing one each earbud at a time, or with ANC off. You have the, what do they call it? The plug-in wireless mode, where you just, come on, Pixel, focus. Yeah, the plug-in wireless mode where you hit this switch, you can plug the included cable with USB-C, and it has a 3.5 on the other end, so you can plug it into something like a device that doesn't have Bluetooth at all, like say a terminal at an airport, or TV at an airport while you're watching something on an airplane, or like a Nintendo Switch, which doesn't have any good Bluetooth options for it. So for things like that, this is actually pretty nice. And I personally don't use it because basically every single device that I have has Bluetooth, and has very good Bluetooth, connectivity and options, and allows me to use the mics for things and all this other stuff. So I don't necessarily need it, but it's something that I do feel is very nice. It also has their upgraded version of the UV Nano tech. It's called UV Nano Plus. Basically, what it does is it cleans 99% of bacteria off of the speaker mesh of the earbuds within 5 minutes. And to me, that's very nice. You could also have it in the app to where it, just is always on. So when you put them in the ear, when you put either earbud in the case, it will just decide to turn on and clean them real quick. And the moment that they're done, it shuts off. Now, it doesn't really have that big of impact on battery life from my testing. So it's not, what I would probably say is it's not that big of a deal to worry about if you're worried about, battery life. You could always by default, it's off, so you could always just keep it off. And when you plug the headphones in, they will, UV Nano will activate. So that's something that if you're not too keen on always having on, you could just have off all the time. But for me personally, I do feel like it's a very nice feature to have, especially for when I don't want to just have them plugged in. The only real issue I have is that sometimes if you open the case for a little bit too long, it will reactivate and clean them again. But overall, that's just something that you're going to have to deal with. And the case itself is not too easy to open. It takes a little bit to open, but overall, I do feel like it's something that you could either have on or not have on. Obviously, these have a game mode too, so you can utilize the game mode for things like obviously low latency stuff. Say if you want to watch a movie or just watch content in general or game on these, it's totally fine, fairly serviceable. It works as good as it did on that Tone FP9. So for me personally, I do feel like it's a very nice feature to have on these roughly $200 earbuds. What else? The overall look. They look like basic IEMs, right? And to me, that's not necessarily a big deal. I don't need everything to look flashy and fancy and unique, but I do feel like these definitely are a little bit chunky depending on, your ear size. For me personally, I think they're fine. And the ear hooks definitely help with keeping these in my ear and having them be very comfortable in my ear. Actually, I really have no sort of issues with comfort at all with these. And overall, I do feel like LG knocked it out of the park with making sure that these feel very nice in the ear and actually kind of weightless, despite how chunky they look. So that's actually very nice. These are tuned by Meridian as well, as you can see right there, which is what LG has been doing basically with all of their tone-free earbuds for as long as I can remember. And obviously they were doing it with their phone lines with the V series and, a couple of the G series phones for a little bit too. So it's obviously something that they're a partnership that they're very well versed in with having. So it's nice to have that. All it basically does, it gives you very spacious audio, but a good amount of width to your, music and stuff like that, while not sacrificing things like clarity and bass. And I'll get into that when I get into the overall review of the sound. These are IP67 water and dust resistant, which is very nice. The earbuds themselves are, the case isn't, and I'll talk to why that's kind of a problem right now, because I did by mistake leave these in my pocket and throw the pants in the wash, and the case is a bit iffy now. The earbuds work just fine, but the case is iffy. Like, it won't keep a charge at all. So basically what I have to do if I want to use these, I basically have to keep the case on the charger and then take the earbuds out, and say I go downstairs into my apartment complex's fitness room and work out. I work out for an hour or two, then come back up, put my earbuds back in the case, and no charging in. That's a bit of a problem, but for me personally, it's not that big of a deal. I still have the FP9s that I do use for, work. I was using these for work for a while, but ever since then, I kind of was like, you know what? I think I'll just have these be my workout earbuds, and that's what they've been this entire time. For the past month that this has been a problem. So LG, what I would probably advise you next time around, make sure the case is also IP67 water and dust resistant, because that would actually be nice. That would be very nice to have. And all I really did to make sure that the earbuds still worked was I let them dry out for a little bit, and every now and again I would blow into the driver and make sure that the water gets out, and over time it ended up being totally fine. And now I've used these for phone calls, I've used these for music. The ANC works as good as it did when I first had them. The transparency mode worked as good before all of this happened. So there really isn't any sort of issue with the earbuds. It's just the case that has the problem, which is unfortunate, but at least I could still charge the case and be able to, still use the earbuds. No wireless charging on the case, which actually would have been pretty nice to have, but overall that's not really a deal breaker for me. I don't really care whether or not a case has wireless charging, but for those that care, it's not here. It would be nice to have, but it's not that big of a deal to me personally. I never had any sort of issues with people talking about call quality or mic quality when it comes to using these. I've used these for like Zoom calls and, regular phone calls, and never really had any sort of issues with people talking about how they can't hear me because of whatever mic I'm using or whatever. So really no issues there either. The ANC on these are really good. It's an adaptive hybrid ANC, active noise cancellation, not, the theater company, but yeah, and it's a hybrid ANC. And basically what that does is it adapts to your environment. So say when I'm in my fitness room and the fans are on up above, the ANC will kick on a little bit in a little bit more of an aggressive way. Say I'm on a bus, it does the same thing. Say I'm in a car, it does the same thing. And it does a very good job at cutting out a lot of noise, a lot of low rumbles, a lot of AC units, or say I'm in the bathroom and I have both earbuds in, it'll cut, and the washer and dryer on, it'll, significantly lower the sound that those emit. So that's actually very nice. The transparency mode is good. I do feel like LG does a pretty good job with their transparency modes. It's not the best thing out there, but for me personally, it gets the job done for when I need it. I still wish that more companies just copied what Sony does and have it to where you press and hold on one earbud and it'll just go into transparency mode for a little bit, for like a little bit of time that you need to talk to somebody or do a little bit of conversation, and then you let go of the earbud and then it'll go back into ANC. I wish more than just Sony gave me that option. But nonetheless, these don't have that, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but for me personally, I do feel like it would be nice to have. Let's talk about the app here. And I do have, this pair also has multi-point connectivity, so for those people that like that sort of thing and really value that, that's something that is very nice. And I really do appreciate it. It's not something that I'm like, it's not something that I clamor for. But unfortunately, what I can't do is have the app open on 2 different phones while multi-point is connected, which is kind of weird. But I'll show you guys. I have my V60 here and I have my One Mark III here as well. I have to connect it to the One Mark III because of I typically have it connected to my Pixel. So, but as you guys can see, it's connected to, it's connected to my Xperia, and it's also connected to my V60. And it gives you the battery life. It gives you the battery life of the case and the earbuds. Obviously, you have your presets right here. I typically have it in bass boost mode. And you have 2 custom EQs right here, multi-point connectivity and pairing. You go into this menu here and you can add another device, and you can switch between your devices here as well, which is very nice. You have autoplay and pauses you can turn off. You have your software update, touchpad settings. You can control everything on these earbuds, and you can customize them to your liking. So this is basically how I have it right here. On the left and right, I have it play stop on either ear, volume up and down, double tap on the left for volume down, volume up on the right, triple tap on the previous, for previous is on the left, forward next is on the right, and press and hold you could also change to do other stuff. I just have it to just change between the ambient modes or the noise control modes, and that's basically what you can do there. Of course, everyone else. What's also nice is that LG also puts the manual in the app as well, so you actually get a tutorial on how to make it to where the earbuds can stay in your ear pretty well, and it gives you basically the breakdown as to what you can expect with, say, the battery levels, what each indicator means on the front of the case here, and all this other stuff. So that's actually very nice. You can get your ANC modes here. You get your touchpad lock. Say you don't want the touchpad to just be randomly get tapped, that's something that you could hit here. Voice alert settings, I typically have this off, but what this does is you could set it to for specific apps to tell you, whether you got a message or a notification or something like that. It's very nice. I just have it off because typically when that happens, when I turn it on, that's when all of a sudden everybody wants to message me, everybody wants to mess with me and all this stuff like that, and it gets annoying, so I just have it turned off. Got your software update notification right here. Intelligent sorting, basically what that does is it sorts based off of what you recently use, what you most frequently use. So the ANC control is down here because I barely use it in the app, but because I essentially just use it on the earbuds itself, and that's pretty much that's pretty cool. And you got the tone-free lab here. This is where you turn on your game mode or have UV Nano always be on. So that's actually very nice there. Overall, I do feel like LG gives you a pretty good app here. I actually prefer the layout over something like, say, the Sony app, where a lot of people claim that's the gold standard. I think Sony's app is a little bit, weird. in some cases, but overall, I do feel like this is nice overall. I don't really have any sort of issues with it. And when I go into it to utilize it, say to change EQs or whatever, I don't really have any sort of issue with it. So overall, I do feel like LG did a pretty good job here. Let's talk about the sound now, because that's something that So the sound on these initially, what I would say is that the initial problem that I had was that I feel like the volume was a little bit low, and you had to max them out to get the maximum amount of volume out of them. But after a couple of updates, I feel like LG actually got them to where the volume level actually should be, and that also could obviously depend on the music you're listening to as well. So ultimately, I guess it depends, but I listen to a lot of 32-bit 96 kilohertz wave files and all this other stuff, so very, clean representation of what, the music should sound like, right? And overall, I have no problem with how the sound is. When bass is there, when the headphones will push out a lot of bass when it calls for it. These are wide. I wouldn't say they're as like spacious and open sounding as say the Tone FP9, probably due to their construction and how they're designed to be. But overall, I do feel like the overall representation of the mids is very nice. I really don't have any sort of issue with vocals. Like, you can hear a good amount of sound that's like intricate sounds within the mix and stuff like that. Left and right channel, crosstalk and stuff like that is very nice. It feels natural. It doesn't feel artificial. Things like that is very nice. I really don't have any sort of issue with how these sound at all. I do feel like in immersive mode, the bass is a bit lacking. That's why I tend to keep it in bass boost mode. And so if you're a bass head, I would probably advise you to keep it in bass boost mode. I wouldn't say these are the bassiest headphones out there. I probably will go, if you want, LG headphones that have a very good bass representation, I'd probably go with the FP9. I can't talk about the T90s right now. I will eventually get those. But overall, I do feel like these sound very nice. I don't have any sort of issues with them. Like, the bass doesn't muddy up anything. It makes vocals sound clear. Everything sounds nice and clear and articulate. I don't really have any sort of issues. And given the fact that these don't have any sort of high-end codec, these are just SBC/AAC headphones. That's very nice to see. And I think LG has pretty much done a pretty good job at making case that you don't necessarily need those, especially if you're just going to be utilizing streaming services anyway, to have a good case for sound quality. I feel like a lot of people focus on, it doesn't have flat, it doesn't have LDAC, LHDC, all this stuff, but you listen to stuff through YouTube Music and all these other services that just stream up to CD quality. And I don't necessarily feel like that's enough of an argument to have LDAC, in my personal opinion, on each and every single headphone. Because at the end of the day, you're still streaming the music. If you're utilizing local music, that's one thing. Where, like I said, I'm doing a bit overkill by using 32-bit 96 kilohertz wave files, but it gives a good representation as to what I can expect comparing these to, say, my favorite corded headphones, or even my other favorite true wireless earbuds that have LDAC, like, say, the Edifier NeoBuds Pro and, the XM4s and whatnot. So I do feel like these make a very good case for not necessarily needing any sort of high-end codec, though it would have been nice to have aptX adaptive or anything like that. At the very least, it's not a deal breaker for me, and I do feel like LG did a very good job at making sure that these don't sound like complete ass just because you're using SBC and AAC as your codec. So overall, the LG Tone Fit are essentially made for fitness, obviously, right? Though I do feel like these will be totally fine for people that want to use them on commutes, because the ANC is very strong. I feel like they're very good for like work, because the battery life is pretty damn long. And honestly, just because these are like the one pair of fitness earbuds that I've messed with that don't feel like they're compromising on absolutely everything else just to be considered a fitness earbud. So overall, LG did a bang up job with these. I hope with the next iteration of these, if they make another iteration of these, that they go with making the case IP67 water and dust resistant as well, or just making them, or just even bumping it up a little bit more and going IP68 for both the earbuds and the case. And honestly, that would make the next generation a very good pick for just overall general use. And obviously make sure that the volume is bumped up a little bit more as well. Like, so I don't have to go all the way to the max to get the best possible amount of volume out of these. The ANC definitely helps with making sure that I can't hear anything in the background, but it's kind of like in the XM4 issue that I have, where the max volume is like, the volume on these aren't as low as the XM4, but the XM4 made a case for having very strong ANC but not having horrendously high volume, right? And I feel like these are kind of similar, although these do get louder than the XM4 in my opinion. So that's all I really got to say with this. Do you guys have these? Have you been looking at these? Let me know in the comment section below. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday or whatever time of day it is in the area. Have a good one.